Hello and welcome. This is Josh Wears a Red Cape, the little boy who beat the bipolar villain. Hello and welcome. This is the little boy. Hello and welcome. This is Josh Wears a Red Cape, the little boy who beat the bipolar villain. Josh Wears a Red Cape is brought to you by Celt Wolf Gallery and written by Deborah Rose. This book can be found at www.celtwolf.com. That's Celtwolf with an E at the end, .com. Also can be found at amazon.com. All rights reserved, including the right to reproduce this presentation taken from the book Josh Wears a Red Cape. On a side note, here's a few words from the author. It's my mom. She says, "My respect to all the families touched by mental illness. May your lives be blessed more than they are challenged." Deborah. Sounds like her. Moving on. Dear reader, this story does not begin with "once upon a time." This story is very true and very new. It's a story about yours truly, me, Josh. Why is this story about me? Because to myself, I'm a lot like Superman. I wore a red cape. My mother was blessed. I was born just like all other babies, and I was truly loved. My mom says I smiled at her. However, to say the least, I was just a bit unusual. I didn't sleep. I played all the time. I was excited, and I went through times where I cried a lot. Now, this isn't just hearsay, but sometimes the only way my mom could get any rest was to hold me wrapped up tightly in my baby blanket like a little cocoon. I nearly suffocated one time. She was really tired. I grew up really fast. As you can tell by the picture, I'm crawling, and I crawled a lot, and early. And things didn't stop there. No, I was a real go-getter. I even walked early, for that fact. Now, I know what you're thinking. He crawled early. He walked early. He wore a red cape. Is he really Superman? I don't know. But I did potty train early all by myself. Okay. Now to the good stuff. Here comes the cape. My grandmother gave me an old red cape. Lord knows where it came from, but I wore it everywhere. And when I say everywhere, I don't just mean when I went out to play. I mean everywhere. The store, the bed, the shower, the restaurants. Heck, I even tried to wear it to school once. I finally started sleeping in my own bed all alone, and my mom was ecstatic. Look at the rubber ducky on the screen.
That's Big Bird.
I didn't watch Sesame Street.
It's still Big Bird, alright?
I don't care. It's a rubber ducky. Hit okay. Little fun fact for those of you who may not know, but this is me eating, and it reminds me of when I used to eat at El Phoenix. Not only did I wear the red cape, but I used to take my food to go in my hair. Now, of course, I did just get the red cape, but eventually I did get the Superman costume too. And even after I tore my costume, I still wore that cape everywhere. All day long. I knew something no one else did about that cape. Now, that thing I knew about the cape that no one else knew, I bet you've guessed it by now if you know how to read. It was magical. Alright, I'm bored with the cape. Let's talk about some other things. I did some really strange things. Besides the cape, besides the food to go on the hair, I like to tie up my room. I mean, yards of string all across the room. Tie it up. Couldn't get through. Why? 'Cause I do. I was like the toddler of MacGyver's. When I say I tied it up, it was like a ginormous spider web, and it even was booby-trapped to jangle when things moved it. Unfortunately, one time the thing that jangled was the ceiling fan, and it fell. Yeah, that's a long story. You don't want to get me started. Now, another thing, for me, there was no baby talk. I went from not being able to say anything to talking like an adult. However, I had moments that were similar to Tourette's, where it was just like word salad. Tons and tons and tons of words would come out, like diarrhea of the mouth, but made absolutely no sense. Kind of like now. Okay, so then comes my sister. Now that's a whole nother story, but we're going to talk about it briefly. Katie. She came along and I would talk to her and sing. Now after I started school and started learning how to read and write, I really enjoyed writing stories. It was like there was a plethora of just weird crap running through my head, and I had to write about it. Things like vampire ducks, and if you feed a toothpick it becomes a cannonball. It was just weird. And some of the stuff even scared the adults in my life. Now, I grew up in a Christian household, so like any good Christian, I talked with God. But I didn't just talk with God. He talked back. Not exactly sure what he was saying half the time, but I talked to God. And let me tell you something, he talked as much as I did, and that was not good. And then also I talked to monsters, and they had a lot to say. So needless to say, I was talking to things a whole lot. Because I grew up so fast, crawling, walking, potty training, talking with God and monsters, and being a regular MacGyver, and all this before 6 when my sister was born, I grew up really fast, and I got big, and it made me sad because I was different. But being sad, people can handle sometimes. What was really worse was the fact that I was different would make me mad. I would just get enraged just over little stuff, and it was awful. Okay, now you're probably wondering what else could there be to talk about. Well, not only was I scaring other people, but it got to the point to where I was even scaring myself. I had figured out a way to not only get around the safety precautions and yada yada yada, but I had figured out how to fire a gun that was twice as big as I was at the time. And it scared the holy crap out of me. I told him that I tried to kill myself. I honestly was at a loss for words. I mean, so much was going on, I couldn't figure out what to tell him, so I went with what I knew would get the most attention, I guess. So they put me in the back of the police car, called my parents, and we went through that whole ordeal. Now this is where the story gets sad. After this, everything gathered up, accumulated, piled on, built up, whatever term you want to use. Everyone's heart was breaking. Everyone was sad. Everyone was torn inside. And that wasn't just limited to them, even me. I was distraught. This is where the professionals came in. They went through this real extensive survey and asked a lot of questions and finally determined that I belonged at home. Good for them. And so did my mom. But the fact that she didn't know what to do made her sad. Now, after everything's said and done, my mom really just wanted to help me. And she didn't know what to do. So, she started doing her research. She was sad. Me, I was angry, furious, enraged, beyond console at the entire world. Sad thing about it was, I didn't know why. The worst part about it is at first, no one was helping me, my family, my schoolmates, my teachers, nobody. There was no help, and nobody knew what to do. I was just supposed to grow up and out of this, and I didn't. Normally, if you're watching a cartoon or something like this, this is where you hear the inspirational music, the dun dun dun. Because one day, along came a doctor, and this doctor was my knight in shining armor, and he told us that I had a mental illness, a chemical imbalance called bipolar disorder, aka manic depression. I was told that I had a sick brain. My psyche had the chicken pox. My mental status was flu-like. And it stunk. P.S. That red thing sticking out of my brain, not my tongue. It's a thermometer. Okay, another sad moment. When we found out I was sick, Mama was sad again. She's always sad. Haven't you noticed? Not me. No, sir. My brain was sick, and I wanted to P-A-R-T-Y because I had to. That's right. I was happy. Now, my mom, having all this knowledge just dropped on her like an atomic bomb on Hiroshima, was utterly confuzzled at why I was happy. She had to know, so I laid it on her. I was happy, beyond happy, because I thought that I was evil. Sick can be fixed, especially with love and support. Evil, well, that just is. The real villain wasn't me all along. It was the bipolar villain. Now, every villain needs a hero. My heroes were books, literature, good reads on mental illness. I wanted to be healthy, so I had to know how to defeat my villain. And my villain's kryptonite was mental illness literature. I needed my strength if I was going to fight this villain. I needed to make sure I ate right, got healthy like Popeye. I needed to get my sleep so that when I woke up to face the day to take on my villain, that I was fully prepared. I had to be healthy, strong, and determined to come out on top. Of course, every superhero always has a little magic something that helps them through. Me was that red cape. I had kept it under my bed the whole time. I did all of this because I had goals. I had to go to college, maintain friends, love my family like they loved me, and hold a steady job. And these goals were achieved. And I will always have my red cape on my back. Because although I may not have that red terry cloth that my grandmother gave me, turns out that what made that cape was the love of my family. Their love and support is what my red cape became. And I'm going to end this showing you a little bit of before and after. This is my mother and myself when I was just a baby. Cute little bugger, aren't I? Can't say much about the woman holding me, but yeah, that baby's a cute baby. No, I'm just kidding, Ma. You look good. Cute baby equals cute guy. I made it. I did it. This is me now. I'm all grown up now. I'm an adult and a college graduate with a bachelor's in business administration and marketing. My story is being told here and now, and I'm glad if it helps you and your family. However, it's also featured on numerous websites, as well as NAMI Texas curriculum, including Visions for Tomorrow. It's also featured in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Children with Special Needs. I tell more of mine and my family's story in the documentary called A Reason to Live, which will be released in late 2008. I have worked for a national nonprofit helping others with addictions and mental illness, as well as building my career. I made a goal to be healthy and off medication when I was 16 years old. I have stuck towards that goal, and I achieved that goal a year and a half early at the age of 23. I am in remission and plan to work hard to stay in remission for the rest of my life. Thank you for your time.